how it passes. So the Senate passes Trump's policy bill, Trump's tax bill. All right. So let's deep dive into what happened. Whoa. Let me fix that real quick. Give me a second. Let's go there. Let's go there. And let's go bam. All right. So according to NPR, I like to use NPR because NPR tends to be a little less biased. It said that Trump's sweeping policy bill setting up a decisive vote inside of the House. All right. So Senate Republicans have passed Trump's signature domestic policy bill, setting a stage for a final vote in the House of legislation that will cut trillions of dollars in taxes while scaling back spending in Medicaid, food assistance, and clean energy programs, which all of those I am okay with cutting. Some people feel like that's a little insensitive. He didn't say that he was going to eliminate it. He said he had to cut it. And the reason that we had to cut it is because there was too much fraud, waste, and abuse within those things. We've seen tons of people using, abusing, and too many able-bodied adults. I'm not even going to talk about just the fraud that was happening, but there's too many able-bodied adults that have the ability to work. And if you want to work, or if you want to actually get your food stamps or stay on there temporarily, then you got to be looking for a job. You got to either do some volunteer work or you got to do some other stuff. There's too many people that we've seen, white people, black people, white people more than black people, because white people, you are on food stamps and social programs more than any other demographic of people. And a lot of it comes from being the majority of the population. But too many people are finessing the system, right? Final vote was 51-50 with Vice President J.D. Vance breaking the tie. Remember when I had that conversation with you guys yesterday and I was telling you that the Vice President is the President of the Senate. So when you go back and you look at all of the legislation that was passed during the Biden administration, especially things that we didn't necessarily care for, Kamala Harris was the tiebreaker. All right. 3 Republicans broke ranks and voted against the bill. Susan Collins of Maine, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, and Kentucky's Rand Paul. Well, we all knew that Rand Paul was going to vote against it. The bill now heads to the House, where some GOP lawmakers are already signaling for more major objections. Why did Republicans vote against the bill? Well, a lot of them largely didn't necessarily agree with the idea. We all knew that Rand Paul was going to be holding out, and a lot of the Republicans, they're kind of speaking the same way that Trump is speaking, right? And so, or I'm sorry, that Elon Musk is speaking. So Rand Paul, for example, his biggest issue is that he doesn't necessarily care for the idea that it increases the national deficit. The Trump administration is basically saying, well, it's not going to increase the national deficit. What it's going to do over a period of time is actually generate more revenue for the United States of America, while at the same time boosting our economy and making us an even greater world power, which will then reduce the national deficit because we're going to be operating at a surplus. So that is the biggest thing. Watching women be women is a breath of fresh air. Facts. Facts. That is the biggest thing. I love my Mika. Make sure y'all go and y'all subscribe to her Red Cup podcast. It's dope. It's absolutely dope. Goes on to say Tuesday's vote capped weeks of contentious negotiations between fiscal hawks and who wanted deeper spending cuts, and a handful of other Republicans who expressed concerns that cuts in the bill could have deep impacts across the country. Now, we all overall will say, well, the bill itself, because they have no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, reduction in Medicaid, increases in tax cuts for everybody that basically is a working adult. You can make more money, you're going to generate more revenue, and it has more opportunity for you to become more successful in your business. But then you're going to have different people that represent different districts and different countries, different states, different districts and different states. And they're going to want certain things in there in order for them to be able to cast a vote for the people. And that's why you have so much debate, so much contentious conversations, because it's not just whether or not the bill is big. It's about whether or not they feel like it's going to help them get reelected back where they came from, right? Bill would extend tax cuts that was passed by Republicans in 2017. So the tax cuts that was already on the books from Trump's first term, it extends those, preventing a potential hike in rates at the end of this year when the current provisions are set to expire. Republicans are offsetting some of those cuts or those costs with cuts to the supplemental nutrition assistance program, often known as SNAP. So a lot of the times that comes right along with the social services, along with major changes to Medicaid, the joint federal and state program that provides health care to roughly 70 million low-income elderly and disabled Americans. Early estimates suggest around 11 million people could lose coverage under the GOP bill. Facing growing. Let me ask y'all a question. Now, I understand the elderly people. I understand certain people. I understand disabled people. I understand veterans. I understand all of that. Why can't y'all go and get a job? Everywhere. Literally everywhere. I know people. I know people that I know business owners. I knew a guy that owned an insurance company. This was back when I was working in the plant, when I was working at the steel mill. And I knew a guy, and he had a very successful, thriving insurance company. He drove the yellow Hummer, just like the guy that was on Breaking Bad. I think he was Albanian, or he might have been Chaldean or something like that. But he only worked 40 hours. And any opportunity that he can get to go home early, he did. He only worked 40 hours in a plant, and he only worked during certain times. He couldn't work in the daytime because that's when he ran his insurance company. Usually he would work overnight, and we would ask him, we would say, hey, man, how come you don't ever take advantage of overtime? How come you don't ever do this? How come you don't ever do that? You do your 40 hours and you go home. You don't work weekends. You don't work none of that. You work Monday through Friday, 40 hours, and you go home. He said, man, I'm going to be honest with you. The additional money is cool, but I'm here because I need the benefits. And he showed me his check stub. And his check stub, he always maxed out on his 401k towards the end of the year because he said he never needed the money. He loved the healthcare coverage and he loved the benefits that came with working in the plant. And he said, I want the benefits. I need the benefits for my family. I got a decent sized family. I run my businesses and everything is going on. I know people that work regular jobs that pay people that have businesses that go and get regular jobs or part-time just so they can get benefits. I knew a guy that was stocking shelves overnight at a grocery store so that he can get the benefits. It was a large chain grocery store. Why can't people get a job? And we all know them. We see them. They chilling all day. They smoking cigars. They having a good time. They hanging out. And they always got something that they getting from the federal government. They always waiting on a check. They always waiting on the first of the month. They always waiting so they can do this. Always waiting to do that. Always waiting for the mailman to come. How many of y'all grew up in the hood or not even in the hood? Maybe you live in the suburbs or whatever. They always waiting for the mailman to come. Every single first of the month, first and the 15th. I used to see people get a check, cash their check, and they go and sell their SNAP benefits, and they used to go and buy drugs with it. I used to see people that will wait for the first of the 15th, go cash their check, and go buy dope. Honestly, all the time. Smoke it up before they even got it. It was already sold. First and the 15th, every single month. They used to always be waiting on the mailman. Mailman, man, the mailman come. Mailman come, mailman. Hey, you seen the mailman? Hey, the mailman came by today. Is he off? Somebody replace the mailman? Go and get the check, go buy crack with it. You don't see him for 2 more days. Every single month. Man, these people need to be kicked off, honestly. We are subsidizing their bad habits. Facing growing pressure from the White House, Republicans were able to strike a delicate balance and pass the bill with just days to go before a self-imposed July 4th deadline. Remember when Democrats was in and they always used to be able Democrats never got nothing done. They would always say, you know what? I don't know if we need to go on vacation or if we need to stick around before the deadline passes. We need to shut down the government. That's what Democrats was doing when Biden was in office. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says, with this legislation, we're fulfilling a mandate we entrusted with last November and setting our country and American people up to be safer, stronger, and more prosperous. Even as Republicans celebrated the vote, the GOP mega bill still faces a steep climb before reaching the president's desk. To get the bill through, Republicans turned to a special budget tool known as the reconciliation. By doing so, the party was able to sidestep a Democrat filibuster and pass the bill with a simple majority, but the legislation also needs to fit strict Senate rules that require all of the elements to be primarily related to the budget and spending. That meant many GOP priorities were stripped from the legislation before the final vote. So Democrats is the only ones that's kind of holding us back largely. All right. Republicans in the House and the Senate must agree on identical versions of the plan before sending the legislation to Trump's desk, and that's why it's being sent back to the House. Because basically what they approve, and this is why it's so much negotiation, they negotiate before they actually even pass the bill and send it over to the House. So the Senate is now sending it over to the House. The bill has to match identical, and then that's when they send it over to Trump's desk in order for him to sign. So I think that this is going to be a great thing. All of the benefits that come along with the Trump bill is going to be awesome. I think that it's going to work out. I trust that Trump knows what he's doing. And I think that it's going to boom. I know that we're going to make a lot of money over at the Bag Chasers. So shout out to the Chasers. Shout out to the Chasers. Dale, you got to get a profile picture. Got to get a profile picture, Dale. If you want me to highlight your comment, you got to get a profile picture. So congratulations to Trump. Congratulations to Trump. We want to, they still having it now. They exchange 150 in food stamps for 100 in cash. Depends on what time of the month it is and who got money. Because they'll exchange it for 90 or 80. If you giving them cash money right there and you offer it to him, hey man, I got $90, bro. All right. Okay, man. Man, you driving a hard bargain, bro. I mean, I'm saying, man, you getting $150 in food stamps. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Hey, man, you know how much I can give it is? Hey, man, you want this $90 or what, bro? And then you give him 89. Oh, man, you gonna short me? You gonna short me $1? Oh, man, that ain't right, bro. Skip it, man. Forget it. I ain't gonna talk to you no more. Every time is a good time to buy a house. All times is a good time to buy a house, Starman.